I feel like number one, um, it feels like it could be correct because it's doing that, it's using to be, isn't it? A pigeon is a variety of language. Um, yeah. Uh, but because it's an additional sentence, I guess in principle it can go in different places, wherever a definition might be needed. No other context, it's the first one. But if two is the first one, in some areas, the standard chosen may be a variety that originally had no native speakers in the country. It's part of, it must have prior context. This paragraph must come after some other discussion of ideas about standard languages and speakers. Um, and then we get, so the connection at the beginning of the paragraph is to something that we don't have information about as readers. Um, the strongest clue in this context that number one is last is that sentence number four introduces the idea of pigeon, and sentence number one begins with the idea of pigeon. So a language called a pidgin, a contact language called a pidgin. So the fact that that's been introduced at the end of sentence four, that's the main cue I have for saying that. It's almost like you've got to reverse engineer the paragraph by looking for these clues. It's a very unnatural way to make sense of a paragraph. I think because of, for example, um, in some areas, the standard chosen may be a variety that originally had no native speakers in the country. So this is talking about standard languages in countries in general. And then, for example, in Papua New Guinea, so we're going to the more specific, a lot of official, yeah, is conducted in Tok Pisin. This language is now used by over 1 million people, but it began many years earlier as a kind of contact language called a pidgin. So this is where the idea of pidgin is first introduced. Yeah, it's a language. Yeah. Um, I think the clue there is that a lot of official business is conducted in. So for business to be conducted in something, it's got to be conducted in a medium. Business is, yeah, no, you're right. It could, it's very confusing. I guess none of the other sentences are about, they're all about language, native speakers, language, pidgin variety of languages. Yeah, it's a type of language. So what they've actually done is they've gone from a general idea that there might be a standard language that isn't originally a native language, then a specific example, Tok Pisin. Tell us more about Tok Pisin. It's a language used by 1 million people, and what category does it belong to? A pidgin. So we're going from abstract to more concrete, back to the abstract. A contact language is a language that develops when two groups of people who don't share a language have to come up with some way to speak to each other. It's a contact language. Yeah. Um, and it does get explained in sentence one. A pidgin is a variety of language that developed for some practical purpose among groups of people who had a lot of contact but who did not know each other's languages. Yeah. Franglais.